Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a skill that, honestly, is what really separates a cool data science experiment from a true production-ready AI project, and that is configuration management. So if you're a data scientist looking to make that leap into engineering, you are in exactly the right place. Let's dive in.
Oh man, we've all been there, right? You're in the zone, tweaking learning rates, you're changing file paths, commenting out huge blocks of code, and then boom, you hit gold. You create an amazing model, but you have absolutely no idea how to get back to it. That mess of hard-coded parameters, that's the chaos we're here to solve today. So the professional way to handle this is to externalize your configurations. All that means is separating the what, your parameters and settings, from the how, which is your actual Python code. This is, hands down, the first big step you take toward building ML systems that are flexible, scalable, and, most importantly, repeatable. Okay, so why is this such a big deal in MLOps? Well, because getting your configs right isn't just about being neat and tidy. It's really about making your entire project reproducible, scalable, and, actually successful in the real world.
At its heart, a configuration is just a set of instructions that your code reads when it starts up. Think file paths, database URLs, or your model's hyperparameters. By keeping them totally separate from your Python scripts, you unlock this incredible flexibility to change how your app behaves without ever having to touch the core logic.
And the payoff here is just huge. With good configs, you can switch from running on your laptop to a massive cloud server just by changing one little file. You can kick off hundreds of experiments with different hyperparameters, and every single one is perfectly tracked and logged. You can even scale up your compute resources on the fly, all without rewriting a single line of your main code.
Okay, so if we're yanking all these parameters out of our code, where do they actually go? Well, in most modern projects, they live in a dedicated configuration file. So let's take a look at what that actually means.
Now you could use JSON or some other formats, but YAML has pretty much won the race in the ML community. And why is that? It's just so easy for us humans to read and write. Plus, and this is a big one, it supports comments, which is an absolute lifesaver when you're trying to remember what some complex hyperparameter actually does 6 months later.
Listen up, because this isn't just a friendly tip. It is a critical security warning. The standard YAML loader can actually be tricked into executing arbitrary code, which is a massive security hole. Using safe load is the only way to go. It's non-negotiable. Seriously, never ever forget this.
All right, we've covered the why and the what. Let's get to the fun part, the how. We're going to look at the modern, industry-standard Python libraries that lets you build a really solid configuration system, one that goes way beyond just loading a file into a dictionary. So let me introduce you to your new power duo, OmegaConf and Pydantic. OmegaConf is amazing at parsing and merging YAML files. It even lets you do cool things like reference other variables inside the config itself. Then you have Pydantic, which acts like a tough but fair security guard, making sure the configuration your code actually gets is exactly what it expects. No more surprise strings when you are expecting a number. And the pattern here is so simple, but so powerful. You basically define your rules, your schema, using a Pydantic class. Then you tell OmegaConf to load your YAML file, and Pydantic instantly checks that data against your rules the second your app starts. It's all done for you automatically. What you get with this approach is really the best of both worlds. You've got the super flexible, human-readable YAML for all your experiments, but you also get the rock-solid safety of type checking from Pydantic. And this combo catches errors right at the beginning, not 5 hours into a model training job. I mean, think of the time and frustration that saves.
But hang on a second. What about the really sensitive stuff? I'm talking API keys, database passwords, things you should never, ever, ever put in a config file that gets checked into Git. Well, there's a proper place for those too. Here is the golden rule. It's really simple. Anything secret, like an API key, or anything that changes from machine to machine, like a database connection string, that stuff belongs in an environment variable. That keeps it secure and completely separate from your codebase. Everything else, all your fun hyperparameters, file paths, model settings, that can all live safely in your config file, which you can and should check into version control.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground, so let's bring it all home and pull everything together into a final set of best practices that you can start using on your projects like today to make them way more secure, robust, and easier to maintain.
First up, security. And I'm going to say it one more time because it is that important. Always use YAML.safeload.
And for the love of all that is good, keep your secrets out of your Git history by using environment variables. For any real project, these two rules are absolutely non-negotiable.
Next, let's talk robustness. You want your code to fail fast if something's wrong. So validate everything up front with Pydantic. Make sure your code can gracefully handle what happens if a config file is missing or just totally messed up. And always use context managers, that with open X syntax, to make sure files get closed properly and you don't leak resources.
And finally, do your future self and your teammates a huge favor. Make your configs easy to work with by providing smart, sensible defaults. Use those handy YAML comments to explain the why behind a parameter's value. And just try to keep the structure clean and consistent. It makes everything so much easier down the line.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Getting your code to run, that's just step one. It's proper configuration management that transforms that running code into a professional MLOps project, one that you can actually reproduce, scale up, and deploy with real confidence. That's all for this explainer.